boat. Another lot not far behind.
Good evening, Isabel.
Good evening, Mrs. Rogers.
Is that the boat?
Yes,
Already? Have you remembered everything?
I think so. Lemons, slip soles, cream, eggs, tomatoes, and butter. That's all, wasn't it?
That's right. So much to do, I don't know where to start. All these guests arriving today, and no maids till the morning.
Oh, calm down, Ethel. Everything's shipshape now. Looks nice, don't it, Isabel?
Looks neat enough for me. Kind of bare, but rich folks like places bare, it seems.
Rich folks are odd.
And he was an odd sort of gentleman who's built this place. Spent a wicked lot of money on it, he did, and then gets tired of it and puts the whole thing up for sale.
It beats me why the Owens wanted to buy it, living on an island and all.
Oh, come off it, Ethel. Take those things to the kitchen. The guests will be here any minute now.
Making that steep climb an excuse for a drink, I suppose, like some others I know.
That be young Jim. I'll be getting along. There are 2 people arriving by car, I understand.
Remember, I'll want 8 loaves of bread and 5 pints of milk in the morning.
Right.
Isabel,
Yes.
remember the oil for the engine, or I'll have the lights running down tomorrow.
It was held up on railway. It's at the station now. I'll bring it across the first thing tomorrow.
Thank you. And give a hand with the luggage, will you?
Right?
Thank you.
I forgot to give you the list of guests, Tom.
Oh, thanks, old girl. Mrs. Claythorne. She'll probably be the secretary. Doesn't look a very classy lot to me.
I don't hold much with secretaries. Worse than hospital nurses and giving themselves airs and graces and looking down on the servants.
Oh, stop grousing, Ethel, and come along to that lovely up-to-date kitchen of yours.
Too many newfangled gadgets for my fancy.
So this is it.
Oh, how perfectly lovely.
Miss Claythorne.
Lord Rogers.
Yes, good evening, miss.
Good evening, Rogers. Will you bring up my luggage and Captain Lombard?
Of course.
You been here before?
No, but I've heard a lot about the place.
Mr. and Mrs. Owen?
No, old Johnny Brewer, a pal of mine. He built this house. It's a sad and poignant story.
A love story.
Yes, ma'am. The saddest of all. Johnny was a wealthy old boy and fell in love with the famous Lily Logan. Bought the island and built this place for her.
Sounds most romantic.
Oh, but poor Johnny thought that by cutting her off from the rest of the island, without even a telephone as means of communication, he could hold her.
And of course, the fair Lily tied up her ivory tower and escaped.
Johnny went back to Wall Street, made a few more millions, and the place was sold.
And here we are. Well, I ought to find Mrs. Owen.
It'd be very rude of you to leave me here all by myself.
Would it? Well, I wonder where they are.
Oh, they'll come when they're ready. In the meantime, you think I could have a drink?
Of course you could.
It's very dry after that steep climb. What's yours?
Oh, no, thank you. Not for me. Not on duty.
A good secretary's never off duty.
Really. This is exciting.
What is?
All of this, the smell of the gulls, the beach, this lovely house. I'm going to enjoy myself.
I bet you are. I think we both are. Here's to you. You're very lovely.
Oh, where's Mrs. Owen?
Oh, pardon me, miss. I thought you knew. Mr. and Mrs. Owen won't be down until tomorrow.
Tomorrow? But,
Yes, I have a list of the guests if you'd like to have it.
thank you. How awful. I say, you will be sweet and help me, won't you?
I won't move from your side.
Thank you. It seems silly to only have brought us in the first boat and all the rest in the second.
That, I'm afraid, was design, not accident.
Design? What do you mean?
Well, I may or may not have suggested to the boatman that there was no need to wait for any more passengers. That and 5 shillings soon started up the engine. Well, they're not a very exciting lot, are they?
I thought the young man was rather nice looking.
Callow. Definitely callow. And very, very young.
I suppose you think a man in his 30s is more attractive?
I don't think, my darling. I know.
Wizard place you've got here.
I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London. I'm afraid it won't be down until tomorrow.
Oh, too bad.
Captain Lombard?
Marston, Anthony Marston.
Have a drink, sir?
Yes, thank you.
What do you have? Gin? Whiskey? Sherry?
Whiskey, I think. Wonderful place you have here.
I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London. I'm afraid it won't be down until tomorrow.
Have a drink, Mr.
Davis! Davis is the name.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Marston.
How are you, Mr. Marston? Pleased to meet you. Thanks, Captain Lombard. Don't mind if I do. Bit of a stiff climb up here. But, whoo! Oh, what a height. Reminds me of South Africa, this place.
Does it? What part?
Oh, Natal, Durban, you know. Well, used to temperance. Do you, know South Africa?
Me? No.
That's where I come from. That's my natal state.
Interesting country, you think.
Finest country in the world, sir. Gold, silver, diamonds, oranges, anything a man can want. Talk about a land flowing with beer and skittles.
How do you do?
General Mackenzie, is it? I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London, I'm afraid. Won't be down until tomorrow. May I introduce Captain Lombard, Mr. Marston, and Mr.
Davis! Davis is the name.
Can I get you a whiskey and soda, sir?
Thanks. You in the service?
Formerly in the King's African Rifles, sir. Too tame for me in peacetime. I chuck.
Pity.
Where is Mrs. Owen? Miss Brent, is it? I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow.
Indeed. Extraordinary. Well, did she miss the train?
I assume so. Won't you have something? May I introduce Captain Lombard, Mr. Marston, General Mackenzie. I believe you all met on the boat. And Mr.
Davis! Davis is the name. May I take your case?
Can I get you a drink? A glass of sherry, a dry martini, whiskey and soda?
I never touch alcohol.
You never touch alcohol.
I suppose you know, young man, that you left us standing on the wharf?
I'm afraid, Miss Brent, I was to blame for that. I wanted to,
It seems to me most extraordinary that Mrs. Owen should not be here to receive her guests.
perhaps she's just the kind that can't help missing trains.
That's what I reckon she is.
Not at all. Mrs. Owen isn't the least like that.
Perhaps it was her husband's fault.
She hasn't got a husband. I should like to go to my room.
Of course, I'll take you there.
I'm afraid our host and hostess have not yet arrived, sir. My name's Lombard.
Mine's Wargrave. How do you do?
How do you do? Have a drink, sir?
Yes, please, a whiskey.
How are you? Davis! Davis is the name. I say, got a good place here. Quite unique.
As you say, quite unique.
Your drink, sir?
Say, Badger Berkeley rolled up yet?
Who did you say?
Badger Berkeley, he rolled me in for the show. When's he coming?
I don't think he is coming. Nobody by the name of Berkeley.
Oh, that dirty old double-crosser, he's let me down. Pretty wizard island, this place. Rather a wizard girl, that secretary. She ought to liven things up a bit. I say, old man, what about dressing for dinner if there's time? You, sir?
Let's go and explore.
Get out here.
Well, aren't you going to sit down?
Well, to tell you the truth, you seem to be in my chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were one of the family.
It's not that. You see, I live at the Benton Club. Have for the last 10 years. And my seat is just about here. Can't get used to anywhere else, I'm afraid.
Well, it becomes a bit of a habit.
Yes, it does. Well, it's not as good as the club's, but it's a nice chair. To tell you the truth, I was a bit surprised when I got this invitation. Haven't had anything of the kind for well over 4 years. Very nice of them, I thought.
Might I take your keys, sir?
Yes. Is Lady Constance Comington expected here, can you tell me?
Lady Constance Clemington? I don't think so, sir, unless she's arriving with Mr. and Mrs. Owen.
Oh.
Might I take your keys, sir?
No, thank you. I'll unpack for myself.
Very well, sir. Dinner's at 8 o'clock. Shall I show you to your room?
Please.
Here you are, ma'am. Uncle Rogers.
How are you? Davis. Davis is the name.
Mine's Abigail Armstrong.
Dr. Armstrong, I believe?
Yes.
I thought so. Never forget a face.
Oh, don't tell me I've forgotten one of my patients.
No, nothing like that. But I once saw you in court giving expert evidence.
Oh, really? Are you interested in law?
Naturally, a citizen of South Africa will be interested in such legal process.
Oh, yes, of course.
Have a drink?
No, thank you. I never touch it.
Mind if I do? I'm quite thirsty.
Not at all.
I've been having a look around the island. It's a good place, isn't it?
Wonderful. I thought as I was coming across the mainland, what a haven of peace this was.
Too peaceful for some, I dare say.
Wonderfully restful. Wonderful for the nerves. I'm a nurse specialist, you know.
Yes, I know that. Did you come down by train?
No, I motored down, dropped in on a patient on the way. Great improvement. Wonderful response.
Best part of the 200 miles, isn't it? How long did it take you?
Oh, I didn't hurry. I never hurry. Bad for the nerves. But some mannerless young fellow nearly drove me into the ditch near Amesbury. Shot past me at about 80 miles an hour. Disgraceful bit of driving.
Yes.
If only I'd caught his number.
Yes, and if only more people could take the numbers of these young roadhogs.
Yes. You must excuse me. I must have a word with Mr. Owen.
Oh, but Mr. Owen isn't coming down.
You rang, sir?
Yes, take my lay, will you?
Oh, of course.
What time's supper?
Supper's at 8 o'clock, sir, in about a quarter of an hour. I think tonight dressing would be optional.
Got a good place here.
Ah, thank you, sir.
Been here long?
Just under a week, sir.
That all?
Yes, sir.
So I don't suppose you know much about the company that's here, do you?
No, sir.
All friends of the family?
I really couldn't say, sir.
Oh, well. Oh, Rogers.
Yes?
Rogers, do you think you can leave a bottle of beer and some sandwiches in my room at night? Get an old appetite with this here.
I'll see what I can do, sir.
Oh, and Rogers,
Yes?
I'll see you won't lose by it, but, where's my room?
Oh, thank you. Allow me to show you.
Good, I can do with a wash and brush up straight away.
Oh, there you are, Rogers. You ought to be clearing these dirty glasses. You always leave the dirty work to me. Here I am, with a 4-course dinner on my hands and no one to help me. You might give me a hand with the dishing up. Who were you talking to?
Davis, South African gentleman. No class, if you ask me, and no money either.
I don't like him. I don't like any of them. More like the lot we had at the boarding house, I'd say.
Davis gives off he's a millionaire or something, but you should see his underwear. As cheap as they make it.
Well, as I said, it's not treating us right. All these guests. I've got a mind to put on my hat and coat and go straight back to Plymouth.
Well, you can't do that, old girl.
Why not?
Well, you're on an island. Or had you forgotten that?
Yes. I don't know that I fancy being on an island.
Yeah, I don't know that I do either, come to think of it. You know, slipping down to the pictures or going to the pub. Anyway, it's double the wages on account of all the difficulties, and there is plenty of beer in the house.
And that's all you ever think about, beer.
Oh, quit your nagging and come along to the kitchen, otherwise dinner will be spoiled.
I expect it'll be spoiled anyways. They'll all be late, wasted on them. Thank goodness I didn't make souffle. Oh, dinner won't be but a minute. It's just a matter of dishing up.
Is everything all right, Rogers? Can you manage between the two of you?
Oh yes, the missus talks a lot, but she gets it done.
What a lovely evening.
Yes, indeed. The weather seems very settled.
How plainly one can hear the sea.
A pleasant sound.
Hardly a breath of wind and deliciously warm. Nothing like England at all.
I should have thought you might feel a little uncomfortable in that dress.
Oh, no.
It's rather tight, isn't it?
I don't think so.
You'll excuse me, my dear, but you're a young girl and you've got your living to earn.
Yes.
A well-bred woman doesn't like her secretary to appear flashy. It looks to me as though you are trying to attract the attention of the opposite sex.
Would you say I do attract them?
That is beside the point. A girl who deliberately sets out to get the attention of men won't be likely to keep her job long.
Surely that depends on who she works for.
Miss Clayton, aren't you
unkind?
Young people nowadays behave in the most disgusting fashion.
Disgusting.
Yes, low-backed evening dresses, lying half naked on beaches, all this so-called sunbathing, an excuse for modest conduct, nothing more. Familiarity, Christian names, drinking cocktails, and look at the young men nowadays. Decadent. Look at that young Marston, what good is he? And that Captain Lombard.
What do you object to in Captain Lombard? I should say he's a man that led a very varied and interesting life.
That man is an adventurer. All this younger generation is no good at all.
You don't like youth, I see.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying you don't like young people.
And is there any reason why I should?
Oh, no. But it seems to me you must miss out on quite a lot.
You're very impertinent.
That's just what I think.
Well, I think the world will never improve until we stamp out immodesty.
Quite pathological.
What did you say?
Nothing.
What about old Wargrave?
He looks rather like a tortoise, don't you think so?
All judges look like tortoises. They have that venomous way of sticking their heads in and out. Mr. Justice Wargrave is no exception.
I hadn't realized he was a judge.
Oh yes, he's probably responsible for sending more innocent people to their deaths than anyone in England. Hello, you. Me and the doctor have just decided
Yes,
that...
I heard you. And so did he, I think.
Oh, Sir Lawrence.
Miss Brent, isn't it?
There's something I want to ask you. Will you come out here?
A remarkably fine night.
Absolutely wizard car, supercharged sports bar, Letty Carlotta. You don't see many of them on the road. I can get over 100 at first.
Did you come from London?
Yes, 208 miles, and I did a bit over 4 hours. Not too bad, eh? Well, I mean, there was too many cars on the road to keep it going, so I touched 90 going to a Salisbury Plain.
I think you passed me on the road.
Oh, really?
You nearly drove me into the ditch.
Did I? Sorry.
If I'd seen you, I'd have reported you.
But you were dawdling along in the middle of the road.
Dawdling. Me, dawdling.
Oi! What about a drink?
Great idea. Will you have one, Miss Claythorne? Thank you.
Hello, Mrs. Owen.
Why, Mrs. Owen?
You'd make the most attractive wife for any wealthy businessman.
Do you always flirt so outrageously?
Always.
Well, now I know.
Say, what do you think Miss Brent wanted to talk to the judge about? She tried to buttonhole him upstairs.
I don't know. Funny, she seems so definite that there's not a Mr. Owen.
Well, you don't think that... I mean that there isn't... that they aren't...
What? Married, you mean?
Hey, shame we don't know each other. I could have given you a lift down.
Yes. That would have been grand.
Hey, I'd like to show you what I can do across Salisbury Plain. Maybe after this we can drive back together.
I actually have other plans.
But it seems silly. I've got an empty car.
Yeah, she likes the way she's
Oh,
going
look,
back.
aren't they sweet, those 10 little soldiers? Oh, there's the old nursery rhyme.
What are you talking about? What soldiers? What nursery rhyme?
10 little soldier boys going out to dine. One took his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8.
8 little soldier boys traveling in Devon. One got left behind, and then there were 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence please. You are charged with these indictments, that you did respectively and at diverse times commit the following. Abigail Armstrong, that you did cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. William Henry Bloor, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Lender. Emily Caroline Brent, that you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that you killed Peter Ogilvie Hamilton. Philip Lombard, that you were guilty of the deaths of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon Mackenzie, that you sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death. Anthony James Marston, that you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Orgreave, that you were guilty of the murder of one Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you...
It's all right, she fainted, that's all. She's just nasty. Get some brandy.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence please.
Who's speaking?
You are
What's going on
charged
here?
with
What
these
kind of practical
indictments.
joke was that?
You are charged with these indictments.
Here we are.
Well, are we going to give her some brandy?
Sorry, sir.
I'll be all right now. The voice, it gave me a nasty turn.
Of course it did. Give me a turn, too. I'd like to know...
Who was it that put that record on the gramophone? Was it you, Rogers?
I was just following orders, sir.
Whose orders?
Mr. Owens.
Let me get this quite clear. Mr. Owen's orders were what exactly?
I was to put a record on the gramophone. I would find it in a cabinet and study. I thought it was just a piece of music.
Is there a title?
Title? Yes, sir, it's entitled Swan
The
Song.
whole thing's preposterous. Preposterous! Singing accusations about like this? Something must be done about it. This fellow Owen, whoever he is.
That's just it. Who is he?
That is what we must go into very carefully. I would suggest you get your wife to bed, Rogers, then you should come back here.
I'll give you a hand.
Will she be all right?
Yes, she'll be all right.
I don't know about you, but I feel I need another drink.
I agree.
I'll get this.
That's what it is. Preposterous.
Whiskey for your stool?
Yes, please.
Better wait for Rogers to get back.
I'll take a drink too.
Pretty crazy.
She's all right, I've given her a sedative.
Now then, doctor, you want a drink after all this?
No, I never touch it.
Oh, so you said. Use this one, General?
Okay. Now then, we must get to the bottom of this. Tell me what you know about Mr. Owen.
He owns this place, sir.
I'm aware of that fact. What I want you to tell me is what you yourself know about the man.
I really can't say, sir. You see, I've never seen him.
What do you mean you've never seen him?
Well, we were engaged by letter through a registry office, the Regina in Plymouth.
That's a high-class firm. We can check on that.
Have you got the letter?
Of course, sir.
Thank you. Go on with your story.
Well, me and my wife arrived about a week ago. Then another letter arrived saying that Mr. and Mrs. Owen would be detained in London, and that he also gave the instructions about the record on the gramophone.
Have you got that letter as well?
Of course, sir.
Thank you. And was that it?
That's it, sir.
This whole thing. Well, I think that the time has come that we should pool our information. It would be well if everybody were to give us all the information they have regarding our unknown host. We are all his guests. I think it would be profitable if each one of us were to explain exactly how that came about.
There is something very peculiar about all this. I received a letter with a signature that was not very easy to read. It purported to be from a woman whom I had met at a certain summer resort 2 or 3 years ago. I took the name to be Ogden. I am quite certain that I have never met or become friendly with anyone of the name of Owen.
Have you got that letter, Miss Brent?
Yes. I will fetch it for you.
Thank you. Miss Claiborne.
I never actually met the Owens. I went to the holiday post and I applied to a secretariat agency, Miss Grenpost in London. I was offered this post and I accepted.
And were you ever interviewed by your prospective employer?
No?
Have you got the letter engagement?
Yes.
Soldier Island, Sticklehaven, Devon. I have received your name from Miss Grenville's agency. I understand that she knows you personally. I shall be glad to pay you the salary you ask, and shall expect you to take up your duties on August the 8th. The train is the 12:10 from Paddington, and you will be met at Oak Ridge Station. I enclose £5 for your expenses. Yours truly, Una Nancy Owen. Mr. Marston?
Oh, don't actually know the Owens. Got a wire from a pal of mine, Badger Berkeley. Told me to roll up here. Surprised me a bit because I thought the old horse had gone to Norway.
Have you got the wire?
No.
Dr. Armstrong.
In the circumstances, I think I may admit that my visit here was professional. Mr. Owen wrote me that he was worried about his wife's health, her nerves to be precise. He therefore suggested I come here as that of an ordinary guest.
You had no previous acquaintance with the family?
No.
Yet you had no hesitation in obeying the summons?
Well, a colleague of mine was mentioned and a handsome view was suggested. I was due for a holiday anyway.
Thank you. Dear Miss Brent, I do hope you remember me. We were together at Bellhaven Guest House some years ago, and we seem to have much in common. I am starting a guest house of my own on an island off the coast of Devon. I think there is really an opening for a place where there's good, plain English cooking and a nice, old-fashioned type of person. None of this nudity and gramophones half the night. I shall be very glad if you could see your way to spending your summer holiday on Soldier Island, as my guest, of course. I suggest August the 8th, 12:40, from Paddington to Oak Ridge. Yours sincerely, U.N. Yes, the signature is slightly ambiguous. Here's my own decoy letter from a friend of mine, Lady Constance Comington. She writes in her usual vague and coherent way, urges me to join her here, and refers to her host and hostess in the vaguest of terms.
Look here, I just thought of something.
In a minute.
But I really think
we
it's
will take one thing at a time, if you don't mind, Captain Lombard. General Mackenzie.
Got a letter from this fellow Owen. Thought I must have met him sometime at the club. He had mentioned some old cronies of mine who were to be here. Hoped I'd excuse informal invitation. Haven't kept the letter, I'm afraid.
And you, Captain Lombard.
Same sort of thing. Invitation mentioning mutual friends. I haven't kept the letter either.
Just now we had a somewhat disturbing experience. And apparently a disembodied voice spoke to us all by name and uttered certain definite accusations. But at the moment I am interested in a minor point. Amongst the names of those received was William Henry Blore. But as far as we know, there is no one named Blore amongst us. The name of Davis was not mentioned. What have you to say about that, Mr. Davis?
Well, cat's out of the bag, it seems. I suppose I'd better admit my name isn't Davis.
Your name is William Henry Blore?
That's right.
I'll add something to that. Not only are you here under a false name, Mr. Blore, but I've noticed this evening that you're a first-class liar. You claim to come from Natal, South Africa. I know South Africa and Natal very well, and I'm prepared to swear you've never set foot there in your life.
No. You gentlemen have got me all wrong. I'm an ex-CID man.
Oh, a copper.
I've got my credentials and I can prove it. I run a detective agency in Plymouth. I was put onto this job.
By whom?
Why, Mr. Owen. Sent a nice money order for all the travel expenses and sent a list of all your names. Said I was to keep an eye on all of you.
Any reason given?
Said Mrs. Owen had some fancy jewels. Mrs. Owen, my foot. I don't think there is such a person.
Yes, your conclusions are, I think, justified. Ulick Norman Owen. Una Nancy Owen. Each time, that is to say, U.N. Owen. Or, by a slight stretch of fancy, unknown.
But that's mad.
Oh yes, I have no doubt in my mind that we have been invited here by a madman. Possibly a dangerous, homicidal lunatic.
What?
He has taken the time to find out a very great deal about us. And out of his knowledge concerning us, he has made certain definite accusations. I wish to say this. Our unknown friend accuses me of the murder of one Edward Seaton. I remember Seaton perfectly well. He came up before me in trial in June 1930. He was charged with the murder of an elderly woman. He was very ably defended and made a good impression in the jury on the witness box. Nevertheless, on the evidence, he was certainly guilty. I summed up accordingly, and the jury brought in a verdict of guilty. In passing sentence of death, I fully concurred with this verdict. The appeal was lodged on grounds of misdirection. Well, the appeal was dismissed, and the man was duly executed. I wish to say before you all that my conscience is perfectly clear on the matter. I did my duty and nothing more. I passed sentence onto a rightly convicted murderer.
Did you know Seaton at all? I mean, personally?
I knew nothing of Seaton previous to the trial.
The old boy's lying. I'll swear he's lying.
Mel is a madman. Absolute madman. Got a bee in his bonnet. Got a hold of the wrong end of the stick. Best really leave this sort of thing unanswered. However, I feel I ought to say, no truth whatever about what he said about young Arthur Richmond. Arthur Richmond was one of my officers. I sent him on reconnaissance in 1917. He was killed. Also like to say, resent very much. Saw my wife, been dead a long time. Best woman in the world. Absolutely. Caesar's wife.
So, I've just been thinking. Yeah, John Lewis Collins. Must have been a couple of kids I ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
That one for you.
Well, I was thinking for me, but of course you're right too. Beastly bad luck for them also. I mean, it was only accident. They ran out of some cottage or other, and I had my license suspended for a year. Beastly nuisance.
This speeding is all wrong. Young men like you are a danger to the community.
I couldn't help it. It was only an accident.
Might I will say a word, sir?
Go ahead, Rogers.
There was a mention of me and my wife and Miss Jennifer Brady. We were with her when she died, but she was always in poor health from when we came to her. There was a storm the night she died. The telephone was out. I went for the doctor on foot, but we couldn't get there in time. There was never a word against us. You could have asked anyone. Never a word.
Came into a nice little something out of death, I suppose, didn't you?
She left us a legacy in recognition of our faithful service, and I'd like to know why not.
What about yourself, Glor?
What about me?
Well, your name was on the list.
I know. Lender, you mean? That was the London commercial bank robbery.
I remember that name. I don't think you came up before me in trial, though. You were the police officer in charge of the case.
I was, my lord.
Linder got penal servitude for life and died in Dartmoor a year later. He was a delegate, man.
He was a crook. It was him that put the night watchman out. The case was clear from the start.
I think you were complimented as well on your able handling of the case.
I got my promotion. I was only doing my duty.
Convenient word, duty. What about you, Doctor?
I'm at a loss to understand the matter. The name meant nothing to me. What was it? Close? I really don't remember that name, or its being connected with the death in any way. Of course, it was a long time ago. It could have been one of my hospital patients. So many of them come too late, and then when the patient dies, it's always the surgeon's fault.
And it's easier to give up surgery and take up nerve cases. Some, of course, give up drink.
I protest. You have no right to insinuate such things. I never touch alcohol.
Dear, I never suggested you did. Anyways, Mr. Unknown is the only one who knows all the facts.
Exactly. Miss Claythorne?
I was nursery governess to Peter Hamilton. We were in Cornwall for the summer. One day, my attention was distracted. He started off. As soon as I saw it happen, I swam after him. Couldn't couldn't get there in time.
Was there any question?
I was exonerated by the coroner. His mother didn't blame me either.
Thank you. Miss Brent?
I have nothing to say.
Nothing? You reserve your defense.
There is no question of defense. I have always acted according to the dictates of my conscience.
What a law-abiding lot we seem to be, myself excepted.
We're waiting for your story.
I haven't got a story.
What do you mean?
Sorry to disappoint you all, it's just that I plead guilty. I left those natives to die in the bush. Matter of self-preservation.
You abandoned your men?
Not quite the act of a proper gentleman, but after all, self-preservation is a man's first duty. And natives don't mind dying, you know. They don't feel about it as us Westerners do.
Our inquiry rests there. Now then, Rogers, who is there on this island besides ourselves, you and your wife?
No one, sir.
You're sure of that?
Quite sure, sir.
Okay. Don't go, Rogers. I'm not yet sure as to the meaning of our unknown host in getting us to assemble here. But in my opinion, he is not sane in the accepted sense of the word. I think it would be profitable if we were to get off this island, preferably tonight.
You'll pardon me, sir, but there's no boat on the island.
No boat?
No, and there's no telephone either. There's only Isabel Narcon. She comes each morning and takes the post and papers.
How unsporting. Yes, I ought to ferret the mystery out before we go. Whole thing's like a detective story. Positively thrilling.
My time of life, I don't have any desire for thrills.
The legal life's narrowing. I'm all for crime. Here's to it.
Sir, you okay?
My God, he's dead.
Dead? Do you mean the fellow just choked and died?
You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation hard enough.
Never knew a man could die like that. Just of a choking fit.
In the middle of life, we are in death.
A man doesn't die of a mere choking fit, General Mackenzie. Marston's death isn't what we call a natural death.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, by the smell of it, cyanide. Probably potassium cyanide. Works pretty well instantaneously.
Then he must have put the stuff in the glass himself.
Suicide, eh? That's a rum go.
You never think he committed suicide. He was still alive. He was enjoying himself.
Oh, look. He's one of the soldiers on the mantelpiece. It's been knocked over.